Fast because
Let's see. What's up, Joe? Welcome to the show.
thank you. Thank you for having me. I noticed it's episode 220. 220 times.
How is that fucking possible?
I don't know, man. It's like, but God, we probably did like 1,000 of these before we even did the show. You know, because remember that's how we started doing this.
That's
We're
for
like,
goddamn sure.
Yeah. So
205.
yeah,
When did we start?
About this month, earlier this month, a year ago. Because I remember we got off to a good start with Pumptober. And so I'm thinking that was probably like October 4th or 5th or something.
How did we get to 5 days a week? We've missed some in between.
Yeah, I remember all your vacations.
That's right. Yeah, it's like 40 something weeks. So yeah, it makes sense. Wow. That's fucking astounding, dude. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. You do take a lot of vacation, don't you? It is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm going to take more. By the way, we will not be on the air. We will not be streaming the week of Thanksgiving. I will be in New York.
Good for you. What are you guys doing up there, family?
We're checking off my wife's bucket list item of the Macy's Day Parade.
Wow, that's interesting. That's really going back.
I remember looking at that as a little kid.
I mean, God, I don't know if I've watched that in like 30 years, maybe 20 years. Yeah. There was I remember a good Seinfeld episode about that.
Really? Parade. Oh, I didn't see that one.
It was something about somebody like deflates one of the blimps or whatever, or one of the parade floats.
Wait a minute. Maybe that is vaguely familiar in my head.
Yeah, I think it was when
probably too stoned to remember it, but
that old super rich dude that Elaine worked for at one point, who was always arguing about the socks, one cheap socks or whatever. I think it was something to do with him, and probably Kramer probably had something to do with it, is my guess. But yeah, funny. You'll have a lot of fun, man. That's gonna be cool.
I was thinking about the Kramer's frozen yogurt thing. Did you see that one?
Yeah, when it got everybody fat, put weight on everybody. Yeah,
because he claimed it had 0 calories or no sugar or something. That's hilarious.
It was all playing on the one gal who Kramer looks at her and goes, "Oh, congratulations!" And she's like, "On what?" And he goes, "I'm being pregnant." She's like, "I'm not pregnant." Like, it was such a good lesson for all the fellas to learn at a young age.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Euphoric says, have you guys ever explained how you guys got to know each other before starting the podcast? I'd be interested to hear about it.
We talked a little bit about it, but it was,
it was through that group.
Yeah, Blockchain Advisory Council or whatever that we would have called that. Somebody was rallying up, a community to do blockchain projects around the world, and Brad and I jumped in independently at around the same time. And we started producing a lot of the, proposals and things, because there was a lot of different new plays going on. And
it was kind of a DAO before a DAO. It was it was a community of people that were advising projects, right? Essentially.
Yeah. So you had like basically, 24-hour coverage, teams handing off in different locales, doing stuff. I mean, it was, I remember getting up at like 4 just to get through all the Slack messages and all this tremendous quantity of stuff to have to do. But, we got a couple of projects going, met a bunch of people. I still stay in touch with some of them. Like
guy
in India.
Yeah, the guy that he was doing, I wonder if he's still doing that farming supply chain project he was doing, because that was actually really cool.
Yeah, he was teamed up with, who was the other guy that was always around some of those? Paul, I want to say, maybe. I don't know if there was an Africa South, I don't know, somewhere in Africa dude that now lives in Singapore that I kind of occasionally message with every year or so. And there was Paul, and there was a couple other ones, but
the good thing that came out of that was our connections, our network, right? We didn't make shit. Did we make any money? I don't remember if I made any
I
money.
don't think so. No, I seem to remember being kind of a little bit negative there, but not in any great way. Just in that,
well, it became a bit of a clusterfuck with the leader, the guy. That guy was crazy.
Yeah. I don't want to really.
Yeah, we don't have to go into
on anyone, but yeah, it just got to be a little too much of a cult of personality going on there. Yeah. And you know me, I got bullshit on that right away. I got kicked out of all Slack groups and shit.
Well, you and I were like on the advisory board or whatever, because but wow, that was a clusterfuck.
Yeah, but it was one person who kind of ruined it for everybody.
Yeah.
But you know, it was just a matter of you know, we all saw the writing on the wall. But there
were a lot of good people in it. Yeah. That's the thing. We made
a lot of those guys in London. I'm trying to think. Yeah. There was like, I want to say from Toronto, and I just saw him recently, his name pop up. Like Ed Luke or something like that, L-U-K. And then there was the guy in London that I used to deal with a lot. I cannot remember his name. But anyway, that's how we met. Yeah. It
wasn't a DAO technically. It became like a corporate structure kind of thing, but it was essentially a community of people that had expertise in all kinds of fields, from technical to marketing to biz strategy to finance to operations, whatever. And we had projects that were wanting advisory services. And so we would provide whatever that particular project needed to work on. And there were a lot of really brilliant people in that group. Like that group right now would probably do 500 times better than it did then. Like as a DAO, like if we had the accumulative, probably top 25 of those people together again in a DAO today, would do really well. Like, because there was the levels of expertise in that group were there was a ton of experience and a ton of skills. It was really good.
Yeah. Look, we had all those Swiss guys in it at the beginning.
Oh, that's right.
Key to it, but you know, they all bailed. They couldn't deal with
they couldn't deal with the personality.
Mercurial, personality issues.
Yeah.
But you know, that person, I still credit them for taking the initiative. And starting it. But yeah, no, I feel like I think there was people in there from the original, like Estonia 2017 movements, all of those sort of startups. You know, there were people coming in from like the UK, London crypto scene, circa 17, 18. There were some Americans, but I remember there was lots of Scandinavians, and you know, I was bringing all the Singaporeans to the party then. It was fun. It was exciting. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I like.
Yeah.
And you know, but that was primarily riding all the ICO stuff, you know, and what was happening there. It was before all the really cool stuff got going. I remember we were looking at, remember those DEXs we were looking at? Yeah. There was that guy in California that had one that I think it turned into one of the other ones now, but you know, he shut it down just because he didn't want to, you know, the writing was on the wall. There wasn't volume, of course. So if there's no volume and there's no fees, what are you gonna put up a target set on your head for, you know? But there was all this cool tech that kind of was all pre-DeFi. Or what we consider DeFi.
Yeah, it was just kind of getting started. Remember that guy? I don't know if he came through the Blockchain Advisory Council. The guy that I connected with that was doing the
Stellar stuff?
No, he wanted to do the tracking from farm to store of goats, but it was for cheeses and milks and all of that. But he actually had an infrastructure. He had a system. He was a very successful wholesaler of those products, right? And so he wanted to take the supply chain and qualify it. Yeah, that was really interesting too. Now that was the thing at that time. You know, everybody kind of looks back and goes, "Oh yeah, a bunch of fucking scams." But we actually were connecting with really bright people trying to do really cool blockchain level shit. And certainly there were this typical scams that came in to try to get services, but for the most part, we met some really amazing projects. Unfortunately, I guarantee you 99.9% of them are dead because the funding dried up, because everybody thought everything was a scam. And it's too bad, because some of those things could have driven a lot of activity sooner than what's happening now outside of kind of the financials. Because there was projects that were not DeFi. They were not financial projects yet. There were some that were DEXs and that, but
But like the encryptions of the world, you know, the life sciences stuff, you know, all of that. a really cool application that, wasn't a financial app, it wasn't DeFi. And that's what we kind of, saw. But then you come back to the DeFi, it's just the purest application to me of blockchain technology. So naturally, you're going to get all the finance stuff.
Right.
It's sort of like back in .com days. I think I talked about this once, where a lot of the business models were all just kind of like, you filled out a form on the website, and then somebody called you, or somebody sent you a fax or something, and or you were getting some big shit shipped to you, whatever, for no shipping. It was all of these sort of not optimized for the platform, i.e. the internet.
Right.
So,
Right.
All of us rapidly came to the conclusion that, hey, man, the product has to be delivered through the internet too, ideally. That's where the, music, software, digital stuff. And obviously there's a lot of the other stuff going still, but it seemed like the pure play on internet. And now you see with crypto, of course, the coming out of finance and strategy consulting and that space, the natural application is the financial application.
Absolutely.
It's the easiest one. But don't forget, like you talked about the food safety one, or the, farm to table certifications or organic certifications. There's a lot. I mean, I was talking to Sentient, which is a Fortune 500 company up in Milwaukee. And, they do, food like fragrances and dyes, I guess, in food. But a lot of them, they source from indigenous communities around the world, and they try to maintain those communities. So I think they piggybacked on the E&Y supply chain blockchain thing. So, you got all these applications that are there too that aren't finance related. That's not. It's sustaining indigenous communities, and it's certifying that it is that, that indigo dye in, I don't know, whatever, that it's, it's not synthesized in a lab. It's coming from original craftsmen. I think that stuff's cool.
Right.
But we don't get any publicity on that.
Yep.
So because everybody wants to, raise the money, make the bank. So, the finance is where that's going to happen, but it only helps long haul. So, I guess we kind of have learned a lot. I mean, you got into material indicators after that. I was working a couple other projects, but it always circles back to some type of crypto play, because to me, that decentralization is just so attractive in so many ways.
Absolutely.
Us elevating people who don't have anything to where they can have something.
That's right.
So
That's right.
If we can all make money doing that too, that's a home run.
Yep, absolutely. So I've got a few random shit stuff loaded up. By the way, Joe, a hard stop for me today at 12:55.
Perfect.
I got a call. But a little bit of, I guess you could call it macro. Liz Truss is out.
Yeah, I mean, who didn't see that coming?
What a clusterfuck! Like,
well,
wow.
I guess my only point there is,
oh, wait a minute, real quick before we get into it. Niblet says provenance is a natural, but
provenance,
global supply chain side makes it way more complex than what blockchain covered. Provenance. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see what he's saying. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, authentication.
Yeah.
Being able to prove it is what it is.
Sean said, "Bring back Boho." Oh, Boris Johnson. Oh my God! Seriously, he's actually. I saw a headline this morning saying Bojo is actually up to be prime minister again. It's like, I thought Americans were idiots.
Well, that's what you get with a parliamentary democracy. All right. It is a little bit more chaotic, but I think that the interesting point here.
I would kill for us to have more than two parties. So even if we don't have a parliamentary democracy, we have to function that way. That's why I want ranked choice voting. That's why I want things that'll break up the power structure, right? Because we're going to have to force it. But I would kill to have some of that, at least some of that compromise. I know it slows shit down, but you can't get much slower than we are anyway. So,
well, what I like about it is you don't have an all-powerful chief executive officer. You have to rule through coalition. And
I think it should be a PMXBT, PM Sean from the pub. We'll move 10 Downing to Ireland.
And we're going to put it all on proof of work and decentralize it, and we'll see how it turns out, man. BTC DeFi all the way.
Sean will turn 10 Downing Street into a mining operation.
Yeah, we got to get some NFTs issued too, buddy. He
won't ever do that.
No, we'll handle. We got to fix that whole gilt lending thing they got going on, that DeFi loop they're playing, and we got to do that with digital. If we do that, then we can save it.
Yeah, but Euphoric says, thanks for explaining that. Seems like you guys have known each other a lot longer. Yeah, it sure does feel like that.
Yeah. What did they say? Like it's, what is that thing of that married joke? It's like when you hit your 5th anniversary, it feels like your 50th or something like that,
Yeah.
But yeah, look, this is all about that. I mean, simplifying it, the big tax cut scheme there. And then basically borrowing money to fund tax cuts, which, just does not work in the way the economy is today, when inflation's roaring. So
it's just like, read the fucking room, lady. I mean, seriously, if there's any other lesson to learn from this, it's like, take a fucking breath before you come in here with your trickle down shit. And
yeah, I don't know how much of it was her or how much was Quasi. I don't know. It just looked bad. I mean, Quaz, I'm going to call him Quasi. I'm just because I can't remember his Quasitang, I think. But, I mean, I think he was a scholarship kid at Eton, which is, where all the princes go and all the royals. It's the high end school. So, it just seems like sus that, and I think he's a Ghanaian immigrant, from Ghana, and or at least his parents did. He might have been born there. I don't know I don't want to misspeak, but it's I don't know, man. It just seems weird. Like all your buddies, who's going to get the benefit of the tax cut, and then you're floating this idea, and so then all the working class folk and middle class folk are sitting there going, wait, why are we giving them a tax cut, the highest bracket?
Right?
Why not us? So it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And it economically, they were absolutely just destroyed by everyone who was like, what are you doing? In a high inflation environment, you don't stimulate the economy.
Exactly.
I mean, that's going to create more demand. So it just seemed like trying to sneak in a big tax cut for everybody is sort of my perception.
Well, yeah, and it's then, like a tax cut for buying private jets.
Yeah. And then so she fires him. And he resigns, very nice resignation letter he put out. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I mean, that type of civility I always like, when it could be usually here we're like, go fuck yourself, or something like that on the way out the door. But it was just like, he did it right. But then they bring in a new finance minister who flips everything around the other way. And then I think everybody in Parliament is like, well, who is running the country? I mean, the finance minister or the prime minister? And so I think that made her look even weaker, and that led to her demise. But yeah, no, shit happens, man. No biggie. She'll rebound.
Said so many new viewers these days. I guess he means for us. I don't know. And he said, "Welcome to Zeev. Welcome to the fam. Welcome to the fam."
Yeah, welcome everybody.
Sean says Tories have been in power for 12 years. It's too long. They need time out of power. He said he's a Tory in his blood, by the way. All right.
Yeah.
And Euphoric says nobody in Parliament is suited to be the prime minister on either side of the political spectrum. Starmer is a nobody and stands for nothing. It's hopeless. Bring on the AI. Bring the singularity. Let's just get rid of the fucking humans.
Look, man, that's an interesting thing. I mean, to say that, because UK and London in particular is sort of like a platform without a mission right now. They're
I like the way you phrase that.
Yeah, I mean, remember, they were like the greatest naval power that the world had ever known for a long, I want to say probably hundreds of years, but a long time. And so they dominated. And then, of course, that empire recedes and other empires come in its place. But London is such a vibrant, multicultural city at the center of just about everything. I think go hard on crypto right now. I mean, you're already the London Financial Center is like probably the biggest offshore banking center in the world. So
yeah, just ask the
why
Russians.
not up? Yeah, and everybody else. I mean, come on, it's a lot of Americans do it there too. You know, it's
I'm
like
just kidding.
but you're right. You are right, absolutely. But you know, there's a theory about if you're going to do stuff like that against the, you know, whatever your home country rules may or may not be, that, you know, you hide in plain sight. And that's why London's attractive, because everybody's, you know, doing it.
Exactly.
You know, you go to like the Cook Islands or something, you know, you're one of 12 people. So you don't think people are going to pick up on you.
Yeah.
But so I think it has an opportunity in crypto in particular to really kind of get crypto out of, you know, Malta, Gibraltar, places like that, and get in a main money center economic location and let it rip at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, what else you got? You know, you don't have a lot of choices at this point. I think that would really help out the British economy. Yeah.
Make it a rallying cry. I like it. All right. Let me find this. So after we discussed FTX yesterday, fucking Sam comes out, SBF comes out with his thoughts on crypto regulation and immediately gets fucking shredded. All of Twitter, including me, because it was just like, what the fuck? Like, dude, there is nothing about this that helps decentralizing crypto, decentralized finance. He's basically saying, yes, everybody get a broker's license. Yes, everybody fucking go through a broker interface. I mean, he basically wants to fucking wreck DeFi. Now, as we said yesterday, shouldn't surprise anybody. He has a fiduciary responsibility to his shareholders at FTX to make them money. Now, he's got a conflict of interest because Alameda is deep in DeFi, but he probably figures, fuck it, I'll just channel them all through me, right? I'll be the broker interface. And I guarantee you that's what he's thinking. But what's fucking annoying about it is he gets in these debates on Twitter basically trying to say that that's not what he meant and he doesn't want to harm DeFi and he wants to keep DeFi alive. And it's like, dude, there is nothing, like not a single thing in your policy statements that even reflects that at all. And God knows he's smart enough to know what it sounded like when he wrote it. Right. So look, I'm done with SBF. I'm done. Definitely will never be doing any more business with FTX. Will not have anything to do with them. I encourage everybody to dump out of there. If you're an American, go to Binance US, go to Kraken, whatever. But don't give this guy any more of your gas fees because he is not looking out for your best interest. So,
yeah, I was thinking about that too when, you know, I was looking at my top 10 list again. You remember I have FTT sitting there as my sort of maybe one of my last ones. And I was actually thinking about booting it just because of this, because just all the blowback I'm seeing, that it might not have that growth trajectory I was expecting. But look, you know, I haven't read all of the legislation and that, but it seems to me that, you know, again, these are like first drafts in big, long, never-ending sausage-making episodes, okay? And, you know, if I were him, I would have come out and expressly said what my goals were in response, you know, in the space to get back on sides. Because he just has fumbled this like crazy because
he's not going to recover. I mean, look, there's not enough that's going to drive his exchange out of business or anything. A boycott's not going to probably be effective, but I think his reputation is now shot, just fucked, because nobody's going to trust him. I mean, look, if we've learned nothing in crypto and DeFi, it's like, look at the incentives, right? And so how do you come back from that, right? Like, unless I tell you the way he can come back from it: actively, openly, transparently lobby with his money with Congress members who support DeFi being open and available, right? So
yeah, it's a tough one. I'm honestly, you know, the KYC AML guys, it's a very tough one for them to get their heads around in the US.
Right.
But this is, again, when I think about this, I'm like, it's not, just because it says that here doesn't mean, well, let's just say it was illegal here, okay? Doesn't make it illegal in Switzerland.
That's right.
Doesn't make it illegal in London. doesn't make it illegal in Singapore. The transitions are just then, or the inflection points then are, how much is the U.S. going to claim global regulation? Is it doable, enforceable? And I kind of think maybe a little bit on the first part, but is it doable, enforceable? No, it's not. Because when you see, like, this is kind of one of the reasons I'm pretty high on Team India these days, is that, if you have ecosystems running around, layer 2 rollups, building big ones there that are going to be running DeFi, U.S. regulators can't say anything about that, or they might, but they're not going to move to enforce anything. The market's too big, too many users. So when we get in this debate about regulation, I just say, look, we've got to always, first of all, if you're not, let's say, living in America or an American citizen living abroad, you probably don't have to even worry about this shit unless you're, taking money from Americans into protocols.
Or you want to build something in America.
Yeah, you want to build it here. And that's what I told you.
Keep talent here.
People have been saying this for 2 years, that, a lot of people are building overseas and then waiting for this to settle and then bringing it back. I mean, obviously, you got to have resources to do that. But
well, look, I've reached a point in my life where I have zero loyalty to the United States. I mean, none. I just have reached that point. I think it's I don't want to get into it, but yeah. I have zero problem with being elsewhere. And
but that's the point. Nobody should have a problem doing that. If you want to do it, do it. I'm not saying you. I'm saying anyone.
No, I know what you mean.
And so I don't get so frustrated because there's always workarounds.
Yeah. Well, the frustration, I think, is for me is what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Is the impact economically that could be positive for the United States will be much less this way. Now, if SBF gets his way and everything channels through him and Binance US and Coinbase as brokers, then, there may be there'll be plenty of money flowing and developers will develop for that regulated infrastructure, but it's not going to bring innovation. It's not going to bring the US leading the way because you won't be able to do that. You won't be allowed to do that in that framework. And so I think that's the real problem with it.
Yeah, it commoditizes it versus it dumbs it down.
Yeah.
But I still think that innovation can happen. I still think you can launch protocols and stuff, but I think you got to just be super careful of where you're launching from at this point.
That's right.
But I look at stuff that, we look at a lot, the stuff on the edge. Like I was looking at one on ZK Sync that's coming out called Trustless that I'm like, that's pretty cool. I mean, they're blatantly saying trust no one. And, they have protocols trying to build that. And it has a couple of tokens attached to it. They're not doxed. So at least I don't think they are. So that kind of stuff can keep going on. But I think it does hurt the U.S.
Just don't build it here. Yeah.
Yeah. It just hurts the U.S. long run competitive wise.
Exactly.
But, the U.S. doesn't have to control everything. Okay.
No, it doesn't have to
eat the whole pie.
That's right.
Let's let India, keep innovating. Singapore keep going. Japan now get going. Switzerland, Germany, Estonia. Where are you these days? We need to see something. And it's like,
what is going on in Estonia? They got a little tighter, I think.
I think they're a little occupied, being right.
No, I get that. No, I meant I know they were doing a regulatory shift though, and that's what I'm talking about. That they were actually locking down a little bit on what they had originally set up in that country to make it easier.
Yeah, like remember they had that digital passport or whatever you could get?
Yep. I think Sean had his business set up there, if I'm not mistaken. By the way, Sean said Genesis Block quoted, that would be the Genesis Block of Bitcoin, quoted the Financial Times of London, the empire will strike back. And then he said, you guys choose proof of stake. Sam is showing you the future of those decisions. You should be in a place that these regulations could have zero impact. You reap what you sow in time. So I'm going to break this down a little bit. First of all, Yes, I do personally choose proof of stake. I like it. I also like proof of work, as you guys have heard me say many times here. But Bitcoin is not exempt from this. So Americans, Bitcoin will be under the CFTC, and that's what these regulatory frameworks that SBF is going after and requiring brokers and all of that. It'll be the same for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin and Ethereum are the first two named. They will be the ones that qualify as commodities, and they'll be the ones regulated the way that SBF wants to. But the last part of your statement is true. So it has nothing to do with proof of stake. The last part of your statement is true, that you should be in a place that these regulations could have zero impact. And I totally agree with you, and probably will get out of here as soon as my kids graduate from high school. So,
but there's nothing wrong with that, to go see the world, have some fun.
No.
So, look, if you optimize,
get another passport.
I'm not a developer. So, aside from a little Pascal back in the last millennium, that I probably got a C in that class, that's about it. So, to me, where I have to be careful is just on the financing side of protocols, and, where I put stuff in. So I'm super careful on that, as to not, I think about those rules, but
sure.
That's what we have to do. But other places, you go where you can, where you like, because what you do is like, in my opinion, is not covered by a lot of this, because you're not really, I don't see a lot of exposure. You could go anywhere and do what we do. I feel like I can go anywhere and do what I do. I like to go somewhere where it's cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, fuck, I got to tell you, I've run the numbers. Living as a nomad in Airbnbs will be dramatically cheaper than living in fucking Miami. So it doesn't matter where I am in the world. It like zero impact. It doesn't, almost anywhere I could go except maybe Singapore, is going to be cheaper than living in Miami. So,
Well, and also don't forget, when you're off, doing the show on the road, doing show client development on the road, those become business expenses.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. When you go sitting in one place in your home location, that is not a business expense.
That's
of course, maybe the home office part,
stuff, but that's it. Yeah.
But I'm talking about the whole enchilada.
Right. So, Niblet said Wise is Estonian, just need a crypto path. I'm not sure what he means. Does he mean Wise, the money transfer service? Maybe that's what he's talking about. There is a money transfer service called Wise that I actually use. But I'm not so. He said just needs a crypto path. I think that's what he means. And he said former Skype team, I think. So I think what he's saying is the service Wise is run by Estonians out of Skype. Yeah. TransferWise. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's it. Sean said the CFTC will have zero impact on the Bitcoin blockchain, unlike proof of stake systems. That is happening now. There is a potential for that. I will not argue with that statement, but the topic of today was related to the regulatory framework that Mr. SBF wants to put in place, which will impact Bitcoin for Americans. So, and most likely that'll spread to the rest of the world if it becomes the regulation de facto in the United States. So,
yeah, because they're going to end up having all the wallets ID'd eventually.
Well, and look, half of the world will just copy paste our fucking regs for the most part.
Money. It's easier. Yeah. It's the path of least resistance. How about that?
Yeah.
Because then you can always say, "Oh, we copied." It's like when we talk about hiring Anderson or hiring KPMG or IBM. Don't get fired for that if they F it up. But so if you mess something up, you're going, "Well, dude, we're using the U.S. regulations."
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh yeah, okay." But if you go and say, "Oh, dude, we were using the," I don't want to pick on anybody, but name any other country. But okay, we're using the Lebanese regulations. How about that?
Right.
Everybody's gonna be like, "Get the fuck out of here." It's like,
so
cover your ass. Nothing personal, Lebanon.
Amin from Avalanche, who's not my favorite leader, kind of mother cult of personality, bombastic asshole type. But I must give credit where credit is due. And I didn't know this was going this direction, but their new platform called Core, which was starting off as just a wallet, is now becoming a DeFi dashboard. And I installed the plugin last night, and it's not covering a lot of chains yet, but it will be, and you can see where it's going, cross-chain with the ability to track everything your wallet does for you and shows you all of your DeFi investments. So they've essentially built a wallet that is a competitor to Zapper, Zerion, DeBank, etc. And I'm really impressed with this strategy. I think this is a really smart thing for Avalanche to do. It's a fuck ton better than the idiots at Solana trying to build a phone. So I'm really, really impressed with this strategy, because now it puts, look, if you create a really useful cross-chain DeFi tracking tool and it's a wallet and it's something that's user-friendly, which so far it's pretty good, then what you end up with is a tool that allows people to default to Avalanche whenever possible, right? You're still covering all the other chains that are EVM compatible. You're still giving people all the information they want, but you're going to drive user attention to projects in Avalanche with that platform. I mean, it just makes total sense that they would. So to me, there's a really smart strategy, supports NFTs. And like I said, they're still building it. They need more chains. There's only a few in there, but so far I'm impressed, including Bitcoin tracking, by the way. So as much as I dislike this guy, got to give credit, because I think this is a really smart strategy. Really, really smart strategy. So we'll see what happens.
So let me ask a question. I was kind of checking something else out while you were talking.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, but I was just kind of,
it's okay.
I was trying to get a live tweet out for you talking about it. But what is it that you think is so advantageous about it?
Well, look here. I mean, so there are competitors in this space, DeBank, Zapper, Zerion, and I'm sure there'll be more. MetaMask is trying to get there, but they're so fucking painfully behind, and their code base is probably so painful to work with that I kind of write them off in that space. Mm-hmm. But all of these projects make it easy, or easier, for me to track what my money is doing in all the protocols that I'm in, right? And so Zapper is adding a wallet to their DeFi dashboard that lets me report. And they've already had some rudimentary capabilities to deposit in protocols, et cetera. But now they're building a wallet onto their dashboard so that you can manage all of your investments across DeFi, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's similar to what Avalanche is doing with this product called Core, because essentially Core is a DeFi dashboard and a wallet integrated together, free to use, whatever. But the beauty of it from my perspective is this: with dropping TVL in your chain, right? And all of the chains now trying to compete, and 4 or 5 new chains launching every month, you need to stand out. So if you can really, I mean, the key here is if they get really good at providing a free tool that I can use to keep track of my investments, and it covers every chain in the EVM space plus, then I am more likely, when they pop up an Avalanche protocol and ask me to try it out, I'm more likely to try it out, right? So if they can get attention with this thing, if they can get users using it because it is cross-chain, I think it does a lot to help Avalanche grow eventually. And I think it has potential for that. It also probably will have an incorporation of Avalanche protocols into the interface, right? So now you're giving developers in the Avalanche ecosystem, or people considering Avalanche, more to grab hold of. So I think it's just a smart play. It's a good investment of time and resources to build an interface to DeFi that you can help people see more of Avalanche. And that to me is a smart play.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I was going through my 3 top 10 list, tier 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to put them up soon, just juggling some stuff around. But, I kept coming to looking at like Avalanche, Solana, FTM, and started thinking, man, with all the roll up stuff going on and the virtual machine stuff, they got a tough row to hoe, basically, to get people on those platforms. And we talked before, like 96% of the TVL is concentrated on like Ethereum, Ethereum based smart contracts or Ethereum based layer 2 type protocols.
Yeah.
Some number like that. I might be off a few digits, but so the challenge is, how do you get people there? And at a $4.5 billion valuation, I think Avalanche has right now, or market cap, whatever we want to call a number. They got to do. They got a challenge, man.
They're only at 1. Well, the market cap. No, sorry, market cap to TVL is 1.77. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay, no. And what's TVL? About 2 billion?
Let me look. 2.54 billion.
Yeah. Okay. So they got some decent.
2.4.
Yeah, down from 3.3. Yeah. So
42% of that is Aave.
Yeah. So that's a challenge. I mean, just when we're looking at stuff like, I think we will get Greg from Stardium on Monday or Tuesday. I don't see him booked yet. We talk about Stardium, ZK Sync. I mean, we've been talking about Arbitrum and recently Aptos. But you go to all of these, you see what's going on in these other smaller ones that are just going. And I'm like, it's hard for these big ones to maintain it now, because those groups are all fighting for developers too. Yeah. And they're all in the standards or the languages that most of the people are already using.
Yeah.
So, that's a good move for AVAX. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I just think it's a really smart strategy. Niblets makes an awesome point here.
Yeah.
I happen to be a Progressive automobile insurance customer. It says Progressive Insurance carved out a strong position by providing objective insurance price dashboard, even when the data favored competitors. So it is a validated marketing tactic, right? Because, and he's right, you build up goodwill and you build up trust. If you're willing to say to people, hey, here's everything you have, here's some opportunities. By the way, if you want to check out our opportunities, they're here as well. It's a really great way to build trust, to build brand recognition, to make people default to you more often. So it's a smart strategy. I absolutely agree, Niblets.
Well, right, because you're not tricking them into making the decision. You're not manipulating them. When you give them all the information and then they still choose you because of service or loyalty or something else, that's the home run.
Yep. Now, on the other hand, Phantom. And I love Phantom, and I love the folks at Phantom, and I love the teams and developers at Phantom, but they shut down their rewards program for developers in the middle of the total market collapse. They announced they were moving it to Gitcoin. And so what are protocols doing? Protocols are leaving, right? Protocol founders are saying, I got to have revenue. I got to eat. And so they're moving their protocols to other chains. They're not moving, they're copying, they're duplicating, whatever, on other chains. But now Gitcoin is announcing that the launch is going to be delayed. So I understand why they did this move. I just feel like the timing really sucked. And
why did they do the move?
Because they felt like the way that the project was, the incentives were managed, and the way they favored bigger protocols on the chain wasn't fair, and it didn't entice new protocols, right? It was all based on how much volume you were driving on chain, which made sense initially, but then eventually it just became the biggest guys taking most of the money, and it didn't do anything to incentivize little guys. Right. It didn't incentivize somebody who was going to come in and only have $20,000 or $40,000 in TVL in the first month. So supposedly this new structure at Gitcoin is going to be better. I don't know all the details of it, but we'll see. I'm just I feel like the window is
closing.
Is closing. I'm getting very nervous
quickly. Look. You're absolutely right. Why would a small developer with a small amount of TVL pick that chain right now?
When others will give you a grant right away out of the gate. Hey, here's $100,000. Right.
And there's tons of energy in the other ones. Everybody's excited. Phantom's like a death roll basically at this point. And I'm not trying to be harsh, but if you're new and you're looking, you don't want to go where everybody's swimming upstream to get back to someplace. You want to go where there's everybody's pulling the oars in the same direction, trying to build a community, tons of energy. And then you're going to pick the smaller ones for that, I think. But there was something about Phantom with and how it works with Ethereum. If I remember correctly, what EV virtual machine compatible or something? Wasn't there something about?
No, it's totally EVM compatible, and their EVM engine is more powerful. They have the tech is top drawer, right? And the building and the upgrades they're doing to it is better. It will be advantageous as a developer to have your protocol default to Phantom first, because you will have higher performance in this next version coming out, right? I don't know when it's coming out. But so they're optimizing the EVM for people that deploy to Avalanche, and it will perform better. Your code will still work on other EVMs, right? So it's what we were talking about yesterday. Is the one thing about EVM compatibility is that it means anybody can bring stuff to you. The downside of EVM compatibility is that anybody can bring their shit off of you, right?
Right.
Whereas you've got Solana and Algorand and others who are proprietary, all the Aptos and Sui, who are more proprietary. The Move language is being used by a couple of projects, but you establish a moat when you're the only chain with Rust, right? If you can recruit enough developers in, it's a lot fucking harder to get off of Solana, right? I mean, that's why people stay locked in.
Yeah.
But when shit's not smelling good and not looking good, look, I know I've had some conversations with people in the space that have successful protocols, and they are not happy, and they are exploring other options. And it's too bad, because they actually love Phantom. They love the Phantom team. They love the protocol. They love the technology. But you
got to go where the action
needs a new pair of shoes. Yeah.
But also, look. So now it comes down to something that you know really well: marketing. So how do these chains? I mean, look, if it's not going to be differentiating on protocol functionality or chain functionality, like it's faster, it's better, whatever, then it has to be differentiating on marketing, creating a need for people to want to be there. Like, how are you going to bring users in there that aren't just developers and builders? I'm not diminishing them. I'm just saying that
the first
you got to pull in the customers. And I don't see Phantom doing that.
The first thing I would fucking do is look, Alchemix launches on Phantom. Phantom provides them no incentive, provides them no money. Maybe they got a grant. I don't know about it, so I shouldn't say that. But there's no reason there. But Alchemix is bringing community into Phantom because people want to try Alchemix on Phantom who are Alchemix fans, right? Take a stack of fucking money and go throw it at the largest community protocols on competing chains. That's what I would do right now today, because every protocol in this world is pulling from a pool of users, and that pool isn't going to grow much more in the next 6 months. So you got two choices: try to integrate into the real world and figure out some partnerships that you can do that with, and do biz dev as a chain or a protocol to go out and get that, or figure out a way to get more of these existing core users that are sticking with DeFi onto your protocol. And right now, the only way to do that is to entice a community over, because you entice a protocol over, or, outrageous fucking Olympus level APYs on a few protocols that gets people excited, right? But the problem is Phantom had that massive increase in TVL at the beginning of the year because of brain fart. What's his name's protocol that he was launching? And all these projects came over because they wanted the big prize. They wanted the NFTs. They wanted the money.
Andre? Andre? Was it Andre?
Andre, thank you. I was drawing a total fucking blank. Andre Cronje. And they all came over, and all the protocols and the TVL grew like fucking tremendously. And that was because the incentives were there for users and the incentives were there for the protocols, right? There was big money on the line for those folks. And then he fucked everybody. And I will never stop blaming Andre Cronje for pushing this chain over the fucking cliff, because had he not, they could have continued to pull through and do what they were doing. So I would throw money at protocols to come over. But here's the thing. If you're a protocol and you say, okay, yeah, cool, I'll take that money and I'll deploy, but do you have an incentive to encourage your users over there? Right? Or are you worried that your users are going to be on a dying chain and you shouldn't have, you're harming your reputation? I don't know. Look, I still love Phantom. I still love the team. I think they have awesome tech, awesome people. And I don't, if you have enough cash, you can ride this out and not fucking worry about it. Right. And start bribing protocols in a year and you'll be fine. Right. You can ride it out and you could grow again in the next bull market, whatever that timing is. So I'm not counting anybody out. I'm not saying it's dead. I don't think it'll die. I think it'll still be around. I just am concerned.
Yeah.
The shit's not happening.
So. Well, look, it's sort of like there's all those dead chains still around from 2017. Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but the Cardanos, Stellars, Trons, all of those types. And I wouldn't touch any of those. I mean, if you own it, yeah, hold on to it till it pops in the next wave and maybe get out at that point. But it's not one I'm buying, certainly, if I don't have.
Here's what.
But FTM is one that I think survives over them. That's my point.
I do too. Yeah, I agree. I will tell you this. There was a discussion in the, material indicators for our subscribers that are with us have a subscription that's a year or more, right? Okay. We have a premium group, but it's not like a trading premium group or signals or anything.
That's all the old guys.
If you buy a year's worth of services from us, you get into this premium group. And so somebody was asking questions yesterday about DeFi, about a lot of these guys are centralized exchange traders, right? And so they were asking questions about DeFi and some specific tokens, and Sol was in the list, ADA was in the list, AVAX was in the list. And the thing I said about ADA is as much as I hate that dick that runs that, I shouldn't use the term hate. I tell my kids not to say hate. As much as he annoys me.
There you go.
I wouldn't count ADA out. First of all, fervent, committed community. Like hardcore fervent community is number one. Number two, still one of the top ranked coins in the world, right? I mean, bottom line is has the users, has the trading volume, is top dog. If I were them, I would continue to build what they're building, try to fix this academic circle jerk they have going on with their tech and actually make it function. And I would go hardcore after, I would ignore the entire DeFi spectrum because the DeFi world hates them. Right? The DeFi world isn't going to touch it. I would ignore it all. And I would go hardcore in bed with
Algorand.
Well, no, hardcore in bed with institutional, with traditional finance, with fintech. I would circumvent everything that exists in DeFi today and present myself as, you can go the regulated path, right? Set up with brokers, set up with whatever and say, here we are. We're the safe ones. Or you can just say, look, I want to integrate my protocols and my chain with the real world. While DeFi's over here not integrating with the real world, I don't give a shit about them. I'm just going to ignore them and circumvent them. So I think that there's a play there.
Yeah, because the real world doesn't really know anything about DeFi.
Exactly.
My question about Cardano, though, did they ever settle up with the SEC on their fundraising? Did they ever become an issue?
No idea. No.
So what I wonder though is when they start going more toward institutional, like that might pop up.
Yeah, they got the money to pay the fine.
And they'll have to settle up. But the thing about I don't do anything over there. I used to own Cardano a lot, 18 through 19, before on that little July rally, I think it was, maybe summer of 2019.
Yeah.
It had tripled and I was out. But I watched that stuff go all the way down.
Yeah.
So to me, they hold up because there's a lot of people not selling. But I think the market cap's a joke. Yeah. Absolute, total joke.
Well, the reason it stays up is it's been a really tradable coin. People who day trade, people who swing trade, love ADA. So, Joe, we've covered like 3 fucking things, and it's already 12:55. I can't believe it. It's crazy.
Yeah, good chat, man.
Yeah, good. Well, let's hope everybody else liked it as much as you and I did.
Seems like the numbers are holding.
Niblets.
We're still pulling down 80,000 views.
Sean, Euphoric, Niblets, everybody that participated today. Amen. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for your opinions and context, feedback, etc. If you want to talk more, join r/Mission DeFi on Reddit. We have a growing community there that we're trying to build up. So would love to have you join us over there. Please take a moment to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It does a huge amount to boost us. Just go to Mission DeFi on either of those platforms and click the rate or review button, and that'll take you straight in. Write a few words, tell us how great we are, and that'll help boost signal so we get more people in here. Joe and I still want to do this every day. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and click the little bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. I think that's it, Joe. Did I cover it? James, thanks so much. James Strickland said, great show, guys. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. Love the feedback. That's all I got for today, Joe. Hope you have a great afternoon. I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, no, great show as always. Thanks, everyone. Like we said, I think we got Greg from Stardium next week. And,
nice.
Take a look at, go ahead.
Speaking of multiple passports, I'm dropping my interview with Nick Dracone tomorrow. One of the more respected prognosticators and traders in the space who started a content site called Ravello. So look for that tomorrow.
Also, check out Trustless on ZK Sync.
Cool.
It's very interesting. So I'm digging in there. We'll hopefully get those guys on the show soon too. But anyhow, everybody have a great day, and we'll chat tomorrow. Be safe.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe.